All right, I wanted to weigh in a little bit on it's kind of a debate in the health and fitness world about whether or not to have a curved lower back or a flat lower back. On the curved side, I think they generally agree that this is the natural way that humans are and you don't want to mess with that. On the flat back side, they say, well, you can activate your core muscles easier and have more power in your movements if you have a flat lower back. Okay. I think they're generally both a little bit misguided in the arguments that I've seen. I'd say the curve lower back, I mean, it makes sense in principle, but it seems to be a roll of the dice. You could get back problems and they don't really have a way of addressing that. It's just like, well, that's just the way things are. Some people are going to have back problems. Yeah. On the flat lower back side, I've seen people, they say, you got to tuck your tailbone under or rotate your hips. And, I think a lot of them are introducing tension into that area that doesn't need to be there. And in doing so, when they start to do some sort of mobility and strength combination, it ends up being, they get like muscles locked up in their lower back. And so different kind of back pain. Instead of like the compacted discs, they get just like muscle tension and lock up like that. Okay, so I'm going to go somewhere in the middle and say, instead of thinking about tucking your tailbone, which is like really kind of like an active approach, I'm going to say just sink your tailbone. So now I'll show you in a little while, but if I sink my tailbone, I'm not introducing any tension to that area. It just flattens out. And I have all the mobility with none of the muscle tension. And I've never had any problems with it. I've also helped people, some who had the curved back, the curved lower back. Actually, everybody that I dealt with had that curved lower back. Most people are going to have that issue. Not many people I've come across, like just on forums, have the flat lower back with the tucked tailbone kind of issue. But I've helped people who say that they've always had back pain. They've had, hospital visits, and they've had to deal with all kinds of problems throughout their life because of their lower back. When I give them the concept of just sinking the tailbone, they say it's like instant relief, and they've never felt that in their adult life, something like that. So anyway, fairly simple. I'll talk a little bit about why, and then I'm going to show you. But a couple things. Okay, number one is, I'd say, back pain, of course. You're going to avoid back pain doing this. And the reason is because the weight of your upper body is not going to be sitting on those lower vertebrae. When you have that curve, that's just kind of the way that physics works. The weight of that upper body is just going to kind of work its way right down to that point that, is not structurally viable, basically. It's just going to work on that over time, and you're going to have, at some point, like pinched nerves or compact discs and stuff like that. Okay. If you flatten out that lower back, the weight of your upper body just transfers straight down, and it works its way down all the way to the ground, basically. So unless you have some sort of other, if you're, you've got something else going on in your body. Okay, number two is mobility, I'd say. You do this because basically it frees up your whole range of motion. You can do anything at any time, but you just have to keep this kind of sinking the tailbone concept in your head while you're doing things, especially at first, because it'll be easy to forget. But if you can do that, and then while you're doing, like if you're lifting or moving, I've moved a million times. I've helped a bunch of people move. So this is always on my mind when I'm moving, and it's just heavy stuff. Yeah, I've never had problems. So, all right. So mobility, power in your movement is number three. Okay. Now, when you have this curve in your lower back, it puts pressure toward the front here on your like abdominal region, basically, or dantian or whatever. Okay, so when you no longer have that, it kind of opens everything up and allows you access to the power. Like I guess in the West they talk a lot about the core and core power and stuff like that. So yeah, you will be able to kind of use that area to direct your movements rather than using the extremities to try to generate power that's going to be very limited. So when you're using this, let's say if you're doing a sport and you want to really like unwind and throw the ball hard, it's going to come from here, but you're not going to have that much power if you've got a curved lower back and you're trying to generate that power. Or if you try to force that power, in that case, then you're going to have lower back pain. Okay, now that'll apply to anything that you do. It could be walking. I use this all the time for walking or running like that. So you want to use this area to generate the movement, and then the extremities will follow. So this is going to allow you to walk or run or whatever a lot longer and more effectively, and without causing you, like muscle pains and stuff like that. You don't need to use your extremity strength too much because it's all located in here. So then, yeah, you're going to be a lot more effective in your exercise. Okay, let's say number 4 is breathing. Okay, now I think this is a really underrated use for this type of structure, I guess I would say. A lot of people don't really think about breathing in their everyday life. Maybe it's isolated to some sort of a, like a meditation, or for you musicians out there, wind players. So I played trumpet for a long time, and I struggled with breathing for many, many years, decades. Yeah, decades. So I was always told that you need to direct the air down to this region here, because this is where the power lies, right, when you're playing an instrument. So I would practice, and I'd take these big breaths, and I'd try my best. But I'd always feel like pain down here. It's always like I was forcing against some sort of muscle tension. And, I thought, well, I just have to work through that, and it's eventually going to get better, and, like that. It didn't really. I always struggled. I could never seem to use this area to really generate any power or wind through my instrument. And it just, some people, they're able to do this without really thinking about it or being aware of it. But I wasn't one of those people. Eventually, I started doing the flat lower back, like that, like sinking the tailbone. And then, of course, you have to have the string pulling up, and you have to have your shoulders resting, and other things like this. Jaw, nice and relaxed and open. Mouth cavity, throat cavity, everything like that, open. But then once I was doing that, like I sink the tailbone, and wow, instead of having that curve in my lower back, putting all that pressure on my breathing mechanism, that tension was gone, that pressure was gone. So then it just becomes like a, oh, wow. No pressure, no tension, no pain, very easy to breathe. I never got dizzy after that. So you can maybe think about this like a bellows. Bellows is like, you've got the 2 wooden handles and the bag and the nozzle. When you pull that open, it just draws the air in nice and evenly and fully. So you're not directing air into any one part of your body or whatever like that. So when you have a flat lower back, it just kind of happens that way. You just nice and open, like a, it just opens. And there's no pain, no tension like that. So why is this all important? I think it just increases your quality of life. It gives you a lot better structure, more power, healthier, better breathing, right? So more comfortable. You can do this when you're sitting, standing, driving. I do this a lot when I'm driving. Actually, at this point now, I pretty much just do this all the time. Now, I'll talk about another thing. When I was in college, I decided to sleep on the floor for whatever reason. That's college. I decided to sleep on the floor, and see how it felt. I think I was going through like one of those, I want to make things difficult for myself because that's going to improve me somehow, or the natural way is to sleep on the floor. So, I'm going to give that a try. Anyway, I did that, and I tried sliding my hand under my lower back at some point because it was really painful at that point. So I did that, and I found that I could slide my arm under my lower back without even touching my lower back. That's how much of an arch there was. I didn't think that was a good thing at the time, and I didn't really maybe know why. But anyway, so I decided, okay, I'm going to sleep on the floor for maybe the next few days and see how it goes. Rough couple nights. I was definitely sore in the mornings, but it wasn't a bad sore. It was more like a working through muscle sore. Sorry, somebody's going through selling something here in Korea. But anyway, so after a few days, I'd slide my hand under my back every night, and I found that the arch was getting less and less, and eventually I couldn't slide my arm under anymore. The pain went away, my lower back flattened out, and I found that I had more energy. I would wake up before my alarm clock, which I would have never guessed that would have been like one of the side effects of this or whatever. But I'd wake up early naturally. I had a lot of energy. I felt great. So this is like one of those things. Maybe it's not for you. It could help like that, especially if you've got quite an arch in your lower back. But if it's too much, maybe just go with a firm mattress or something like that. I still sleep on the floor to this day. I think it's really helpful. And also then you have more space because you don't have a mattress, and then, you're not, if I move a lot, so good Lord, to always be dragging mattresses up and down and buying mattresses. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think you can clean them. So, anyway, it's just one of those things. Maybe it could help. Now, just keep in mind, I'm not a professional in any of this. There's a lot of professionals who disagree with me on all of this. I just haven't seen any compelling arguments on either side of the issue. And I think that this is, I've definitely helped a few people with this who had back pain all their life. So maybe tentatively give it a try and see if it helps you. If it does, or doesn't, maybe you can comment and tell me how it goes. If you have any counter arguments to any of this, by all means, throw that in. I'm kind of open to an open discussion, but I don't know. I think it's kind of a small topic, but underrated. I think it's one of the most useful tools that I've come across in my life is to sink the lower tailbone like that, or sink the tailbone. I haven't showed you the technique, so really simple though, nothing special. And basically, I'm gonna bunch up my shirt here so I can show you. Here's a curved lower back like this. Okay, let's see, nice and tight. So this is a curved lower back right here. Now to sink the tailbone, I'm just gonna bend my knees a little bit, and I'm gonna sink it straight down, and you can see the lower back flatten out like that. Okay, so that's all it is from the curve like that, just like that. It just opens up everything in here. Okay, and then from there I can go down and I can do the Asian squat or whatever like that. So some people say you can't do that unless you're Asian, but all you have to do is sink your tailbone. That's it. So okay, that's about it. Easy enough, gives you a lot of mobility. Give it a try, and tell me what you think. All right, thanks.